All right, we are ready to rock and roll. Hashtag Nation, what's up? It's been a little bit of a long layoff. You guys haven't seen us for about a week. So, in keeping with that, we have to actually do something very, very special for you guys. So, what we decided to do was everything comes full circle. So, we have Ryan from Jets Talk 24/7 coming to join Paul and I. Yes, Paul is on a live stream, guys. Just to let you know, you haven't seen him. You thought he was. He like went up in the mountains to grow his beard, I guess. But
Listen to this guy. It's a playoff beard.
it's a
Playoff beard.
playoff beard. You haven't had one of those in a while. So yeah, like I said, we have Ryan from Jets Talk 24/7 to come talk about the Bills Jets matchup at New Era Field. We got a lot of things to talk about, a lot of things to digest. Ryan, you actually made your way up to the land of chicken wings. How'd you enjoy your trip, buddy?
I did. It was a lot of fun. It was nice linking up with you, and I appreciate the meal. You guys bought me some wings. That was very nice of you. And the beer is good. The people up there are nice. You guys are. It literally feels like you guys are north of the wall. It is so cold up there. Walking down by like Niagara Falls and like the water, just like the amount of mist that comes off that thing. It's like constant snow on the other side of the bridge there.
Oh yeah, and we got obviously hashtag Nation is coming full force. Be Lightning Hen Dog Jeff Farner says, "What's up, Ryan? How's the cockpit hanging in there?" You know what I mean? So, I guess he's one of your frequent passengers, so that's good to know.
I like it.
But you know, it's like Ryan. We had when you and I did the on September before the game September 8th, we were doing the back and forth. We were talking about the Jets and the Bills. It seemed like those two teams were like on the same path. You know, they drafted their quarterback last year. They drafted their defensive lineman this year. It seemed like a lot of things, new moving parts were going on. You guys got a center. We got a center. We were just talking about it right before we went live. And now it seems like most of the talk, the Bills around, Bills country is we're going to playoffs. Who are we going to meet? And then I know watching your channel, you're talking about what's the draft position for the Jets coming up. So I mean, just real quick, what's the vibe going on around New York right now?
It's very frustrating because a lot of people do not like Adam Gase. I'm not a big fan of his. And the offense has been absolutely terrible. Yes, the Jets have a league high in injured players. I think we have like $62 million on IR, which is just absolutely outrageous. But you look at what Greg Williams has done with the defense, and the defense is middle of the pack. I want to say we're 10th right now, 11th, second in run defense. And we've had a bunch of injuries there. Adam Gase just could not, produce on the offensive side of the ball. You're looking at the Steelers still winning some games, playing with their second and third string quarterback. You got, I don't know, like other teams winning with less than ideal circumstances, and Adam Gase just can't get anything going. Le'Veon Bell is just a shell of his former self. He's got like 3 yards a carry, and it's just embarrassing.
I can't say that as a Le'Veon Bell fantasy football owner. I can't necessarily say that that's all on Bell. That offensive line is pretty rough.
Yeah, well, I think it's on Gase. That's what I think it is. I think there's ways to get Bell involved. He should be a slot receiver or something, just like, split out wide. That's what
something.
Yeah, but Gase at that press conference, you guys should have known what you were getting into a little bit.
Dude, he was high on bath salts. Just like
high on bath salts. Hey, he's freaking rich. He doesn't care about the fans, right?
That's just, I don't care about the fans. I'm fucking rich.
Oh.
Damn it.
I need to know this, right? But before we get to the breakdown of the Bills versus the Jets coming in, I really need to know about this burner account that you were talking to me about with Adam Gase.
Oh, I got to know about this too.
Okay, so apparently the bullet point aspects of this, there is a Twitter account at WyattV18 that was taken out, and the name like on the account is Wyatt Gase, which is Adam Gase's son. And since January, which Gase was fired end of December, beginning of January, there's only been the only comments that Twitter account has liked are positive Adam Gase comments, and then like some of the responses to things, it's like, oh, Adam Gase turned Robbie Anderson into a legitimate number one wide receiver or a legitimate threat. One of them was Le'Veon Bell was not Adam Gase's choice. The Jets wanted EO, which is Ed Oliver, instead of Quinnen Williams, and the GM went against that. So like the Jet fans are just like, fuck, we're on fire. hell's going on? Our guy's a lunatic. So it's been frustrating.
Yeah.
And I think a lot goes in where, obviously you had GM change in sort of an odd fashion, right? You sign Le'Veon Bell and then the GM gets fired.
Yes, spend all our money, use all our picks, now hire the guy. Oh,
right.
Cool.
Please keep Gase. We're getting people from the chat. Please keep Gase for the next 10 years.
Oh, of course.
We need to trade up and draft either Jerry Jeudy or CeeDee Lamb. I know, if you guys go over in the description of the video when we're done tonight, you guys can go check out Ryan's channel. It's mainly Jet stuff. He does a lot of crossover stuff though, but it's really good content information. He actually breaks down what the draft order may be and how it's going to look and who will possibly go in certain places, and breaks down all the players as well. So you guys want to definitely give him a shout out over there. He's also on Sportscaster. He's he's in the Sportscaster family as well. So be sure to check him out there. But Paul, it's actually a weird spot for us to be in because I'm a little worried about the starters coming from Mr. Jamal Adams out of Jets camp. He seems like a defensive coordinator in Greg Williams, who Buffalo Bills fans know very well, and who's at the epicenter of Bounty Gate. I don't know. Put Matt Barkley out there to start. I don't care.
That's just it. Like you don't know what kind of team you're going to get from the Jets or either team. This week the Bills can't move. Their seeding. They're locked into the 5 seed. The Jets, are they going to fight for Adam Gase if all this stuff is legitimately true? God, I don't know. It's really frustrating to watch.
No team has ever fought for Adam Gase. This is a guy who just explodes his own locker room wherever he goes. It's so bad.
It's awful.
So bad. But again, like I hearken back to week 1, and the Bills were in trouble till CJ Mosley went out. Once Mosley went out, that's when the floodgates opened for Buffalo. I know that was 16 weeks ago, right? But just because you don't have anything to play for doesn't mean that you're willing to take an L before, you walk into the playoffs. The one thing that kind of gets me a little bit that I'm most concerned about are 4 players, all on the defensive side of the football for Buffalo. And it's Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer, Tremaine Edmonds, and Matt Milano. And the reason that those are the 4 that concern me most is because those are the players that play 100% of the snaps on defense when they're healthy. So what do you do when they're not there? Are they going to play the whole game? Or is that who McDermott is talking about? And he's saying, no, listen, offense is going to roll. We got to get this offense moving. We can't afford to take a week off. We haven't seen anybody except Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer, Tremaine Edmonds, and Matt Milano all season. Well, I know Milano was out early, but that's the one piece that's getting me walking into this. That's what I think McDermott is referring to. Not necessarily everybody's going to look and say Josh Allen. I can't say that I'm there yet.
Yeah, it's tough too because, Paul, you think about it in this respect, Josh Allen, the continuity on the defense seems set for the Buffalo Bills. And, they've had some hiccups here and there against the run and things that are going on. And, a lot of things that have been going on with the Bills. But the offense really isn't there yet. So it seems like, McDermott was even talking about it in his presser. He said, "Listen, we got to come out fast. We got to keep the routines that we have. We got to keep all of those going for the Buffalo Bills and everything like that." But a name that you omitted was the only Pro Bowler for the Buffalo Bills who has played near 100% of all the snaps, and that's also Trey White. I wonder what is really going to happen in this game. I mean, Ryan, you were talking about. What's the range for the Jets winning or losing this game that you predicted on your show?
So the Jets at best could move up to the 6th pick if things kind of fall the right way. If they lose, and then there's 4 other teams that you'd look for, and that would be the Chargers, Jaguars, Falcons. I'm missing the other one off the top of my head. And then they could go as far back as 13, depending on what happens with the Broncos, Browns, and Falcons, I think. So realistically, I think the Jets are going to wind up winning this game because they find ways to win games that don't matter. And I think Buffalo is going to rest some of their starters. Yeah. But I don't know. I think the Jets wind up probably with the 12th pick. I don't know. I just think that's how the Jets are going to go this season. We wind up winning. We start out 1-7, and then you look, and the team really could have folded after that Dolphins loss. And since then, the Jets are 5-2. Darnold has, pretty good stats, and it's just like, are they fighting for Gase or are they just playing the worst teams across the board and just inflating some of their stats because of it? Which is probably a little bit of both.
It could be. It could be. It could be a little bit of both. It could be, the fact that these guys are auditioning for maybe some teams they want to play for next year. I mean, we've seen that in Buffalo happen quite a bit with players that were on losing teams, but they were performing well, and then all of a sudden they end up on different teams. I want to throw this one to Paul real quick though. Currently, the Jets are 10th. To draft 10th. What do we always say about the number 10 pick in the draft?
That's a fat chick pick, man. Because nobody wants to trade for the 10th pick, right? Because there's a huge gap in guaranteed salary from pick number 10 to pick number 11 in the NFL draft. So that's the one where everybody's like, well, do we really want to go home with this one?
So maybe 11 is where I want the Jets to be. Just be like 11th or 12th. It's okay. You'd rather be there than 10th.
Yeah. 11th is the spot that a lot of teams want to trade up into. Other than those teams, obviously, that trade into the back end to try to get a fifth year. They may have like
Lamar
first
Jackson.
round yeah, like Lamar Jackson, which I mean, you've been getting peppered with it. I know Ryan and the Bills been getting peppered with it as well. You're like, oh yeah, the Bills and the Jets both passed on Jackson. Be like, and the thing I always like to harken back to, and not just like dismiss it or anything, but just to tell everyone, Greg Roman isn't in New York. Greg Roman, he was in Buffalo, but he's not in Buffalo anymore. So I think there would be a very different narrative if Lamar Jackson were to go to a team that didn't have Greg Roman, who is, a lot of people are talking right now, he's going to get some head coaching consideration in the offseason. So, I mean, what would you think about having Greg Roman come to New York?
I would be fine with it. I wish they ran a little more like. You can't run Lamar Jackson's system with any other quarterback. The way he moves and the way he runs that ball is amazing. I would take anything over Adam Gase. He's just absolutely. The offense is just so bad. I want to see them actually run some read options with Darnold because Darnold's actually got some mobility. I don't want to see him get hit, but the Jets' offensive line is just so piss poor that you got to switch it up. You got to mix something up. You're just running Bell straight up the middle for 3 yards per carry is just not working.
Yeah.
So,
go ahead, Paul.
Respectfully, I'm going to tell you don't want anything but Adam Gase, because unfortunately, when you take a look at, because us as Bills fans, believe me, we can relate, right? So once you start doing the head coach carousel, that's a tough one, especially when you just change GMs, and the GM is going to want to turn over the whole team. Gase is not going to want to do that. So you really have to start looking at, if you're looking towards the Jets offseason, do what the Bills did. The Bills purged the entire roster. They said, listen, we're getting rid of everybody, new head coach, new GM. They purged everybody but like 7 players. And that's how you rebuild your franchise. You get a clean slate, because here in Buffalo, we've seen what happens when a new head coach comes in and tries to keep the team on life support. You don't actually ever get better. And if I were a Jets fan, I'd be hoping that Gase is gone and you just start purging this roster. I know you hate to lose, Jamal Adams. I know you'd probably hate to lose, some other players that you have on defense. But the fact of the matter is, it hasn't worked. So what really are you holding on to? And again, as Bills fans, we've seen this for years, and it's what we did for years. And it finally took a pure cleansing. It was like in the Poltergeist, McDermott walked in and said, "This house is clear," and that was it. And then you turn around, and you only had 7 players left on your roster that were there last season.
I got the solution to it. I got the solution to all the Jets' woes.
Oh, that sounds fantastic. What is it?
It's a reunion. It's going to be a reunion of Todd Haley and Le'Veon Bell. Because you remember the most success that Bell's ever had when he was in Pittsburgh, Todd Haley was calling the shots there, and then he went to Cleveland for a cup of coffee, and then he got bounced out of there. And the only problem is you got to pick your poison now. If you have Todd Haley, you decide to bring Todd Haley into New York. What does that say about Williams? Because they've they've butted heads in Cleveland before. So what do you risk the defensive guy if you want to bring in an offensive guy that's worked with Bell, who could be a centerpiece of your offense with Darnold, or I mean, what do you do? It's gonna be interesting to see how that unfolds on good old Monday. Obviously, yeah, it's gonna be happening soon. So a lot of the
Yeah.
purge happens with that.
Well, so right now the Jets owner has come out and said that Adam Gase is the head coach for 2020. And that was like probably 6 weeks ago, 7 weeks ago. I mean, maybe things have changed, but I don't think it would be very odd for me to see an offensive presence, like an offensive coordinator, come in and take play calling responsibilities from Adam Gase. I mean, maybe they kind of use that as a ploy, like, oh, our offensive coordinator was bad, not Adam Gase. So he'll be the guy that falls on the sword. Um, and then you look at the Jets for next year; they're not going to go out and get a new head coach. They've actually been pretty good with sticking with the head coach, probably longer than they should. Like Rex Ryan, we had Rex probably a little bit longer than we should have. Todd Bowles probably had him a little bit longer than we should have. But I'm okay with them sticking with the coach because it creates that bit of consistency, like you were just talking about, Paul. And I get it. It makes sense. I think Jamal Adams is probably someone that is going to get traded. I think Joe Douglas doesn't want to pay a safety that much money, and I think we're probably going to move him to Dallas at some point this offseason.
Oh boy,
It's
the
going to crush me. I just bought his jersey.
the land of misfit
Yeah.
toys.
That's the problem. Don't buy jerseys, man. You don't buy jerseys. It's the instant killer to every player that you like.
Stop it,
It's a
Paul.
fact.
Stop it right
What
now.
happens? What happened?
Which Paul's favorite offensive coordinator of all time is actually the Jets running back coach.
Jim Bob Cooter?
Yep.
Oh, it's a great
I was
name.
just going to bring up Jim Bob Cooter. Jim Bob Cooter make a great offensive coordinator.
He would make a great. I mean, when he worked with Stafford, it was phenomenal. He was doing great things.
Crowder would do well. I mean, you look at what Golden Tate did under that offense. It was like over 1,000 yards every single year.
Oh yeah.
It was really good. I did a promotion on my channel for I don't remember what it was, but it was something along the lines of when we hit a certain amount of subscribers, I'm going to give away this towel. And this towel was a bath towel that said, like, we have Adam Gase and Jim Bob Cooter, so it was Gaze at my Cooter.
Oh my god.
I tried to sell it, and I went to hit send on the order, and they're like, you can't do that. I was like, what? And it was a picture of Adam Gase, crazy eyes, and Jim Bob Cooter just like looking back the other way.
God.
It was absurd.
That's
It was a little
hilarious.
ridiculous.
That's hilarious on multiple levels. So, yeah, like we're talking about this matchup. I don't know how, honestly, because being Bills fans, we don't know what it's like to wrap up a playoff spot with 2 weeks to go in the season.
Yeah, this is new.
This is very new for all of us. So, and the idea of saying, hey, we're going to sit some starters. What do you give them, a series? Do you give them a quarter? As you treat it like a preseason game? How do you do this? How are you going to try to work this? And obviously, as we mentioned at the onset, the elephant in the room with Greg Williams and Jamal Adams saying, oh, we're coming after them. This is a playoff game for us. Well, it's a division game. It's not a playoff game. But you could say it's a rivalry game if you want to do that. That's fine.
It's a playoff atmosphere for the Jets.
Oh,
you got
my
to
God.
go home.
It's a play, yeah.
And go home regardless.
And it's funny. Stop it, Paul. I can see you in the chat already. Because
Listen,
we're talking about jerseys.
And exercise from the team, and Trek reviewers some quick buy a Starlet Tulele jersey for Mario because everybody in Buffalo hates Starlet Tulele, and you already bought one, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
You've already exercised that.
I bought that many weeks ago.
Yeah,
but I mean, trying to get a feel for this. The Bills play all 53. The Jets play all 53. Ryan, what's your honest take on the game if both teams play their full squads, knowing what you know now in the 5-2 run that the Jets are on? I mean, they came into Buffalo last year and they beat the Bills. So maybe this could be one of those things that the Bills want to get on. You don't want to lose a game before you go into the playoffs. It's kind of like a downer. But I think a lot of those things that happen in New England, the Bills know some things that they have to fix. They got Greg Williams coming in. Gase, like I said, you guys are on a winning streak. It's this momentum. So what do you think, honestly, if it was 53 versus 53 going in on it, what would be your prediction for how the game would play out?
I think we're going to see a very different matchup from what we saw week one. I mean, the Jets team is just decimated with injuries, right? You guys are significantly better than we are across the board. I thought these teams were going to be pretty close. The Jets' offensive line was just so bad. I see the big matchup problems for us being your secondary against our receiving core. Because if you guys could bottle up Robbie Anderson, I don't know what we're going to have tight end wise because Ryan Griffin's on IR, Herndon's on IR, so we're kind of battling right there. Our offensive line, I want to say we're starting our third string left guard and right guard because our starters, Osemele's not on the team anymore. Brian Winters is hurt. Then they brought in Tom Compton and Ryan Lewis, and now both those guys aren't playing this week. So I'm like, God damn it, I just want Sam Darnold to survive. That's all I want. Just like move on to the end of the season. I just want to get this over with. The Jets are number 2 in run defense, though. So like, I think the Jets could prevent the Bills from having a very good statistical day. Like I could see this being a really low scoring game. I think Pro Football Focus has the over under at 37, which is like pretty low. I don't know. What do you guys see as far as the dynamic between the two teams?
Well, I'll kick it to Paul in a second, but I'm just saying, guys, for numbers, it's the over. That's the over under, and it's a one. Bills are giving 1.5. So actually, Paul, how does that work out with the? I don't know, Ryan. I'll ask you because Paul doesn't gamble. I know you gamble. No, because isn't it like automatically 3 points that a home team gives for any game? So if it's even, then you're favoring the home team by 3 points. Actually,
Yeah.
Or how does that work? So now, are the Bills favored by 4.5 now? I'm kind of confused by this.
They're saying that on a neutral field, the Jets would probably be favored, but since it's a Buffalo home game, you guys are getting those 3 points.
Okay.
So you guys should, in theory, win by 1.5 or around that because of the home field advantage.
Oh, okay.
Now, I don't know. I think if the Jets were fully healthy, there's probably some type of argument. Like I think the Jets probably win week 1 if CJ Mosley doesn't go out, or if we just had a kicker that could hit a field goal. It's our season basically ended then. You think Sam Darnold had mono during that game because he wound up getting. They're like, oh, now he has mono 2 days later. It's like, well, no, he played with mono. That's what happened week 1. I don't know. We're so injury riddled. The Jets don't have anything to play for. It doesn't feel like there's a lot of love for Gase, so I don't think they're going to push harder for him at all. I don't know. It's hard for me to see the Jets getting up and motivated outside of like the Bills resting players and the Jets taking advantage of 3rd and 4th string guys.
Big JH99 just said it in the chat. We are locked in to play the Texans. That is true unless the Chiefs lose against the Chargers. That's the only way that can happen. If the Chiefs lose against the Chargers and the Texans win, then we would end up playing the Chiefs. AJ McCarron,
Your boy.
my boy.
I've seen those videos.
Yeah, yeah, you've seen those.
Oh yeah.
Listen, we don't delete stuff off YouTube, right? It's all there,
No.
right? We don't hide that stuff.
That's right.
AJ McCarron starting for the Texans this week. I own, fun fact, speaking of players being exercising the demon, I own a Buffalo Bills AJ McCarron t-shirt. So
That doesn't surprise me.
that's their that.
It was such a horrible purchase I had.
Dude, I thought the Jets were going to be so set at pass rusher with Ja'Kai Polite. The dude didn't even play a game in the NFL. Got cut by the Jets in the summer, went to Seattle, got cut from there.
Who knows where he is right now?
So I changed the title of that video from like whatever Ja'Kai Polite to like, well, that didn't last long. So it's like, well, like I'll change it a little bit, but I'm not gonna change the thumbnail or anything.
Now, if I'm Buffalo, would you rather play the Chiefs or the Texans? To me, this is a loaded question. I don't think there's much of a question here, but we're all under the impression that you want to play the Texans.
I think so.
Right?
Mm-mm.
Really?
No, you disagree, Mark?
Nope.
Why?
And I had this was a vision that came to me, Paul. It was
all right.
It was exercising demons. It was exercising
exercise the demons.
That's what it was. So in the first round matchup, the wild card by some hook or crook, they play Kansas City. McDermott against Reed is a natural storyline. But how many freaking times did we in Buffalo have to hear about you passed over Patrick Mahomes and you took Trey White when you traded back? You passed over him, you passed over Watson, blah, 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 this other stuff. we've had to hear Ryan. We've had to hear this that oh my God, look at he threw 5,000 yards and 50 touchdowns. I go, guys, Andy Reid's not here, and
Yeah.
Kelsey Hill, all those guys aren't here. Okay, so he beats Mahomes to shut everyone up for that. The next round, they end up playing. They end up playing the Patriots. Obviously, we know that exercising those demons, what that would do. And then they play. He beats Brady. Allen beats Brady, and then all of a sudden, in the AFC Championship, they beat Baltimore, and exercise that demon of hey, you passed over Lamar Jackson. It took Allen. Blah blah blah. And I was like, okay, all right. So then you exercise all those demons to go into the playoffs, or go on to the Super Bowl. So that's the dream I had. So my dream scenario is to play Kansas City first.
That's aggressive. If you could beat Kansas City in Kansas City, I mean, then you could win any game at that point. I mean, you've proven you're good enough to take down a top dog. It's hard for me to look at the AFC playoffs, and I'm rooting for the Bills actually. Like, you know, in this playoff situation, because I don't have a whole lot of hate towards the Bills, Chiefs, Patriots, or Baltimore not being the team representing. Yeah, like they feel so much higher than like the entire rest of the conference.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and it's
well, and you know, and it was brought up in the chat. If you take a look, the only team the Bills have really lost to by a pretty, you know, stern margin was the Eagles. You know, everything else has been a close game. Even Baltimore, you know, the Browns game, the Patriots games, they've all been relatively close. So the team is there, right? It's there. But personally, I don't want to have anything to do with Andy Reid in the playoffs unless it's the AFC Championship game. Then bring him on. If it's a conference championship game, I'll worry about Andy Reid then. But keep me away from Andy Reid if it's not a conference championship, because he does not know how to win conference championship games.
oh my God, here we go.
Cannot do it. Cannot do it.
He won one, didn't he?
One.
Hey.
I think he's been to what? 9?
He's been
to a
few.
crazy. I'll look it up.
I want to say 6, including last year. I want to say it was 6, but I'm not sure. I think he went to 5 with the Eagles. I'm not sure, but I mean, I know it's silly. I mean, I would rather play the Texans, obviously, but you think about from the Bills' standpoint defensively, that defense travels well. So it's not the Bills have a better road record this year. I mean, they're 6-2 on the road, and they lost to Cleveland and New England. I mean, how many teams have ever won in Foxborough? I mean, there's not many teams that win in Foxborough, but just that path of it, their defense travels really well. They're able to keep games closer. Allen actually has better stats on the road than he does at home. At last account, obviously, I didn't, you know, the New England game was kind of bad, but in that respect, you would beat even someone. Hendog comes in the chat. He says, "Don't forget McCoy. McCoy's there." So you would say, okay, we picked, you know, Singletary over you, and then we end up beating that team. So I'm intrigued by the chess match that would go on if Kansas City played Buffalo and Reed versus McDermott. I mean, they know each other so well, and it would just be interesting to see how that defense would perform against Mahomes. Because they haven't played together. They haven't played each other yet.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Allen had 100 passer rating last game. John Calvin. He did? He had 100 passer rating last game? That's interesting. So, I mean, for the Jets, Ryan, coming into this game, what are some things do you have like your eye on a couple of young players that have been making moves during this 5-2 run? Or what are some of the things that you want to see going into the offseason from the Jets?
I mean, I think I really want to see Quinnen Williams hopefully progress. We didn't have a second-round pick. We cut our third-round pick in Ja'Kai Polite. So bless Austin, a corner that we took, I think, in the 6th round out of Rutgers, tore his ACL 2 years in a row, just started playing halfway through the season. Looks pretty good. At one point, he was like the 3rd-ranked corner in the league for a stretch of games. Gave up a touchdown last week, got benched because he got burnt pretty bad just before halftime. But he's a player I want to kind of continue watching. As long as he can stay healthy, he'll be at least one of our 2 corners next year starting. You look at, you know, the offensive side of the ball. It's hard to look at any offensive linemen. I mean, you really just look at sort of Sam Darnold. Maybe you look at Robbie Anderson, see what the Jets are possibly going to do with him and James Crowder or Jamison Crowder. I don't know. That would be those would be the players I'd kind of look at for the Jets. It's tough to gauge anyone really though.
Yeah. Paul, what do you think? What are you looking to see out of the Bills' offense going against Greg Williams in this game?
Well, so I think we're kind of in a funky scenario, right? So this is a perfect opportunity to activate TJ Yeldon, to activate Duke Williams, to activate, some players who haven't really seen a lot of time. But then the question becomes, do you really want to put them on film, right? How much are you really willing to give away going into a playoff game? So yeah, you can activate Duke Williams, you can activate TJ Yeldon. You can activate Ike Bodinger and give Ty Nsekhe the weekend off, right? Like you could do these things if you want. But the question then becomes, how much film do you really want to put out there, and how cookie cutter are they really going to go? Is there going to be enough drive to win this game? I'm really of the mindset that the Bills are going to play their starters, and as soon as they go up a score, they're going to start easing off the gas, and then you'll start seeing some cycle. And if the Jets come back in the game and it becomes close, that the starters are going to play a little bit longer than what they probably think. I really don't think McDermott wants to take a loss before walking into the playoffs. And if that means the starters play near the whole game, then starters will play near the whole game. We already know that who was just declared out. Andre Roberts is out. Shaq Lawson is out.
Really?
They've already been declared out for the game. Yeah.
News to me. That's news to me. That's weird.
So you think the Bills are? I mean, I don't think any team's going to actively try to lose, but you think they'll play Allen, into the second half of the game?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
boy.
I would if it's close still. If they're only up 4 or 5 points, if they're losing at any time, I think Allen stays. As soon as the Jets get up 2 scores, I think you pull Allen at that point, right? Okay, let's sit down. We gave it the good old college try. It's time to pump the brakes a little bit. But, I think if the Bills go up 2 scores, Allen comes out. The Bills go down 2 scores, Allen comes out at whatever time that happens.
Yeah.
So do you think that, because we talk about this all the time when we start talking about the preseason games, they run a very vanilla offense, and why is that important for teams to scout that? Well, that is their bread and butter stuff. What they run is some of the stuff that's their hallmark of their offense. Do you think that the Bills will take that approach against the Jets, or do you think they'll take an approach where activating TJ Yeldon, activating a Duke Williams, and throwing everything at the wall to say, okay, hey, you got to scout this too for the playoffs. Let's do this. Do you think there might be some sleight of hand, some trick play, a bunch of other things that the Bills decide to throw in there, or do you think they're more gonna play close to the vest, Paul, or you don't think?
Yeah, I mean, you might see some funky formations. Like just as an example, right? You might see a wildcat because the Bills don't really run one.
No.
So why not put it on film, right? Just mess around, because you have to imagine that the Texans are probably going to do similar stuff because Watson's not even starting. So we're going to see some different formations out of the Texans offense just from a simplicity standpoint. You're going to run stuff that you could install quickly. And the Wildcat's something you can install very quickly. So you might see stuff like that. But also there's a lot of built-in packages with the Bills. Isaiah McKenzie has been a real big component of the offense. Now that Andre Roberts is out, you're probably going to see a bunch of Isaiah McKenzie, because whether Isaiah McKenzie is on the field come the playoffs, not really a major factor to your offense, right? Moving forward, if Andre Roberts is healthy. So, I think it'll be heavy doses of players that you aren't too used to seeing. Cole Beasley might not play a lot because those snaps might go to Isaiah McKenzie. You might not see a ton of John Brown because those snaps might finally go to Robert Foster. It's going to be funky on offense. As I said earlier in the show, the defense is what I'm really curious what they do, because I'm super curious about that, because the Jets have won 5 of the last 7 games. Like, this is a team that's been rolling.
And to be fair, the Baltimore game that the Jets lost, like, yes, the end game score looked pretty aggressive, but at halftime, there really should have been 21-16, and it should have been Baltimore up by 5 points. The Jets missed a field goal. They had the Sam Darnold interception in the red zone, and then they had the 4th and 1 turnover in the red zone as well. So it's like, if you just go for the points, that game's a lot closer. The Jets have played competent football the last 9 weeks of the season, or I guess 7 weeks of the season.
Since Darnold has come back.
Yeah, basically, yeah. That's Darnold.
Yeah.
team looks significantly better with him as opposed to Trevor Siemian and Luke Falk.
Luke check down Falk.
Yeah.
Love
He
it.
was bad. That
Luke
was
Falk
ugly.
is the quarterback we always joke about. When you look at the spray charts of drafted quarterbacks, you see Luke Falk, everything's to the right side and nothing's past the line of scrimmage. You're like, oh, okay, I get it. You're like, okay.
He had 300
Like, I know where
completions
he's
in
going.
college, and 220 of them were behind the line of scrimmage. Like, okay, how much reading have you been doing?
Right.
It's so weird to see though, because the biggest concern that I have for the Buffalo Bills going on to the playoffs, it's not surviving the Jets, because I think they're going to come. They're going to go after them. I mean, because not too long ago, a Rex Ryan led Bills team knocked the Jets out of the playoffs when they were playing for the playoffs, and I know Ryan, I know you remember that very well.
I do.
I didn't mean to bring up a sore subject, but it's something that is entailed in this rivalry between the Bills and the Jets. I'm more concerned not about the offense, not about the defense going into the playoffs as far as the Bills are concerned, is the coaching aspect and the management. Because if I could question one thing going on with the Buffalo Bills that has been going on, I mean, Ryan, you sparked it by talking about, hey, you take points when you can get points against the Ravens. That's what you're supposed to do, even though they're explosive and they can kill you. This offense and I mean this coaching staff, I haven't really had a lot of trust in when they use timeouts, when they're starting to go for stuff on fourth down, when there's what plays they call on fourth down. I mean, you got to think about it. The Buffalo Bills had 2 plays called against the Patriots. They were in 4-down territory, so they went for it. They ended up going for it on fourth down. They went for a sneak, and it was a long yard for Allen to get. That was the missed face mask call that Allen ended up diving and getting it. Well, 2 things. One, if Allen doesn't get it, and there's a face mask, that's a little crazy. Number 2, the fact that he didn't check out of that play that was called already in the huddle, he was kind of far away. Like, if he doesn't dive to get that, he's not getting it, and the drive's over. So, as far as I'm concerned, I think not only for Allen and the offense to work out some kinks that they have to do, I'm worried about how this coaching staff is going to work out some tight things that are going on in the game, not just to freewheel and deal it. Be like, okay, this is a warm-up game before the playoffs, whatever, and all this other nonsense. I really want to see how this coaching staff is going to adjust to certain things that are going on in game, because you expect it to be tight for a quarter and a half for what's going on. I mean, because the Jets are red hot right now, like as Paul said, and I mean, 5 out of the last 7, they're not joking around. So, and that's the kind of thing that if a team like the Jets win, that's something they take into the offseason. I mean, last year the Bills went 6-10, but they beat the Dolphins last week of the season and ended up riding that into the the offseason, how high that was. So I'm really curious to see how both Gase and McDermott want to manage this game and how they're going to go back and forth with it. I mean, could Gase be on? I'm just wondering, could Gase be on to that he could be done? So do you think that he's going to go for everything in this game, Ryan? Do you think that's going to be one of the cases?
I don't know. The fan in me would love to hopefully see Gase gone, I guess. But the Jets are still paying Todd Bowles through next year. Adam Gase signed his contract, so he's getting paid through next year. If the Jets bring in another head coach, you'd be paying 3 head coaches for next year, and only one of them is going to be here. I think the Johnsons are too cheap to do that, so I think we're stuck with Gase, which is frustrating because I think we're going to wind up getting I think this game would be a lot more interesting from the Jets' perspective if you guys hadn't locked up a seed, or if there was some way we could have played spoiler for you guys, whether it was a playoff spot or just screwing up the seeding for you. Since there's nothing to really play for, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see.
I always fear a GM who doesn't have his mark on a football team yet. Right. So Joe Douglas just walked in and is just pissing on a dumpster fire. Right. Like, that's all he's doing. He's got no bullets in the gun. There's nothing he could. The team is as the team was when he got it. And he's cleaned a little bit of house, but he can't do a ton of roster management during the season. Is basically when he picked the job up was, not too long before the season. Most of the offseason stuff had already happened. Normally, if you're going to fire the GM, you let them go through the draft. They complete the draft, and then you terminate the GM and the scouting department. That's normally what happens. I know people don't like that, saying, why would you let a GM screw up another draft? The fact is they spent the whole year preparing for it giving a new scouting department, a new pro personnel department, and a new GM only a couple months to get ready for the NFL draft when they weren't in that capacity all season is a bigger mistake than letting a GM try their hand at one last draft. So Douglas unfortunately has had no stamp on this team, and if he feels like Adam Gase is a problem because he inherited Gase too, there's a strong case to be made that the GM is more important than the head coach. I'm a believer that the GM is more important than the head coach when it comes to setting your organization up for sustained success. And I understand the Jets are having some success right now. But again, the Bills and the Jets are in a similar situation where you can look at their schedule and say, okay, well, some of these wins make sense, right? Because the Jets they're not a bad football team. They're just an amalgamation of a couple different ideas of what a football team should be because the leadership has changed so much.
Look, the Jets are technically the 10th pick, which means there are 9 teams worse than the Jets in the NFL, technically. So, and technically, at the end of this game, if the Jets were to win, there would be 12 teams potentially that could be worse than the New York Jets, which is mind-boggling to think. I look at the Jets and I'm like, man, this team is just not what it should be. One thing to kind of go back to, Adam Gase sort of had a hand in selecting Joe Douglas and having him come in. Joe Douglas has a 6-year contract, so he's going to outlive Gase's contract unless he wants to re-up Gase. The way the Jets management structure works, it's like the Johnson family up here and then GM and head coach. They have this weird triangle where the head coach and GM don't report to each other, which has kind of created some very odd tension. In the past, Mike Maccagnan did not ask Adam Gase's opinion on certain things and wanted the scouting department not to talk to Adam Gase because they didn't want an unfair bias on certain players, which is just absolutely ridiculous. So the fact that this team is what it is right now doesn't shock me, hearing that sort of stuff from the Mike Maccagnan corner. Joe Douglas, I think a lot of Jet fans are really excited, and they're looking at Joe Douglas as our the golden goose that could potentially deliver us from the darkness that is the AFC East basement.
Yeah, it's tough because usually the natural pecking order that goes on in the NFL for a lot of successful franchises is, okay, the owner will pick the GM will pick the head coach, and they work together to pick a team, and they clear out the previous regime and they bring in their own guys and all this stuff. That's a lot of things that have been happening. Paul always rolls his eyes at me, and I'll pause so he can do it now again. I always bring up the Steelers of the 70s.
There we go.
When Chuck Noll took over the team, by the time they won that first Super Bowl, there were 6 guys on the team that were the holdovers. I mean, you talk about the '99 Rams. Dick Vermeil took over the Rams in '97. I think 5 guys made it to that Super Bowl team. So that's what they clear house to get all of their guys in there. The problem with the Buffalo Bills that has been going on, the vicious cycle, is that they change coaches every 2-3 years, and what happens is different philosophies come in and they're like, okay, we kind of like that guy, and that's why a lot of these players end up leaving and going to other places and end up fitting in a system better that for their talents. And everyone in Buffalo goes, we had this guy, remember? And he goes there and he's a beast and he's awesome and all this other stuff. So that, from an outsider's perspective looking in, I mean, if Douglas is willing to work with Gase and Gase is willing to work with Douglas, I mean, it could be something that could work. And if Gase had a hand in picking him, usually that's not something that will manifest in itself where he's going to kick Gase to the curb. I mean, unless Gase, keeps acting like Gase, it could be something.
Just you got to burn a Twitter account. Maybe starts throwing some shade towards Joe Douglas.
Oh my god!
Like, we're going to see some Brett Favre dick pics popping up soon, and like that's what's going to wind up happening. Like, oh great, Adam Gase. There's his. God, I don't know.
There's his Maccagnan. Oh my God, I can't anymore. That's so funny. So, I mean, as we're talking about this, ladies and gentlemen, we're with Ryan from Jets Talk 24/7. He has a YouTube channel. It's in the description. Be sure to check him out when you're done here. He's also over on Sportscaster. Ryan, you going to be calling the game for Sportscaster?
I think I'm going to. I'm going to have it streaming through OBS. I'm debating whether I want to do a beer for every touchdown the Jets give up, or every score the Jets give up, or every score the Jets get. But I might wind up sober if I look at the Jets offense here. So I was like, I don't know what I'll do. I was going to try and shotgun a beer for each, a field goal for a touchdown. See what happens. It's going to be a low game either way.
The best way to go about that is shotgun a beer for every Jets score. Do a shot for every Jets sack. Like either Darnold getting sacked or you guys sacking whoever is going to be playing quarterback for the Bills. You could just take your pick there.
I'd just be yelling into a camera. I might not even be live. I just wouldn't even realize it. I'd be so drunk. Just like, ah!
Just make sure that you make that faithful trek over to Lowe's or Home Depot and buy a table, and make sure you put yourself through it when you're done.
That's what's got to happen. I just got to like find a table somewhere and be like, all right, if the Jets lose, I got to jump through a table.
Are you utilizing Sportscaster's dual camera feature yet, or are you not playing with that?
I have not tried. Not too much, at least, because I use like my camera as my main video source. So in order to use that camera, like I could do it, but it's a little squirrely. Like I can't with OBS. I can't use my camera. Then I have to like if I do like a stream with this, like with you guys, I have to use the camera in the app that we're using to film, and then Sportscaster would have to come. Like I'm streaming on Sportscaster right now, so it's getting our conversation. It's capturing me from like my webcam on the side because I can't capture from this video feed right now. So it's
we
cool.
use multiple devices. I'm not going to tell you we don't. It's a little crazy the setup that we have, but it works. It works.
It's insane. It's like it's the cheapest materials that you can get to try to do a broadcast. That's what we do.
I told Mario the other day I want to get a little camera that I could put up kind of behind me, so just before I start my stream, I can have like the behind the scenes of stuff, and it's like a tangent cam. It's like off to the side. It'd be kind of cool. You sort of see the backdrop. You see some of my Jets like things around here. My desk is a mess, so maybe it's not a good idea to do that.
Do you got the merch mug? Do you got that anywhere near you?
Oh, hold on, I'll get it.
Okay, that'll work. This is pretty awesome. He left. Yeah, this is what happens with our streams every once in a while. Hey,
not live TV.
Hey Nation, how you doing, buddy? No, I'm worried for Williams. Sending the dogs over. I really am. It's gonna be kind of crazy.
Speaking of Williams, let's bet. Right? Do you want to do a 2-minute roast on this one?
Oh, we're betting.
Duke Williams active or not?
Duke Williams. I was talking about.
I know what you're talking about.
I know. So, right. Well, first, before we get to that, we'll explain that too. I want to see this mug though. This mug's pretty awesome. For Jets merch.
I call it the win some, lose some mug. So when the Jets win, you got your Sam Darnold on one side, and when the Jets lose,
he's got the bag over Darnold the head.
Bag on his head.
That is beautiful.
If you have any Jet fan friends and would like to get one, jetstalk.com.
Oh, absolutely. Jetstalk.com. We'll spread the word for the merch.
So I started I think I started telling you the other day about it, but yeah. I wanted to do a shirt, and I just commissioned to get it done, and it's 5 offensive linemen. So the shirts, it's gonna have no one in particular. It's rebuild the Jets offensive line. It's gonna say SOS, save our Sam, hashtag build the wall.
Oh my god!
And it's gonna have like the numbers on the players. It's gonna be like 69, a pi sign, and then like for the other 3, I was thinking about 8 and then 00 and then 85, so it reads boobs.
Oh god!
Across the players. So that's stupid stuff.
Can I make a suggestion? Can you have one of the offensive linemen just be a trash can with a put over it?
Just like it could be a lazy Susan, just like
that's
spun around or something.
God. Perfect.
So what we did on a previous episode, Ryan, we had a roast session for Paul.
Yes.
Because he lost some bet. He always bets me. I don't know why. I mean,
that's fun.
It's fun, but he lost. So we had a 2-minute roast session from everyone in the comment section, just completely peppering Paul with everything, and it was so funny.
I was not allowed to respond.
No,
I just had to take it for 2 minutes. Whatever the comments were, we read them out, and I just had to take it for 2 minutes straight.
That's what she said. Anyway, the thing about it was he just got peppered for 2 minutes straight. Yeah.
Minus.
He did. I think it was the fact that you wore a turtleneck and you had those headphones on. You look like Steve Bartman. That's what it was.
Yeah, that was it right there.
You mean ranch? Yeah, it was ranch.
Once we got on the Bartman train, things went sideways pretty quickly.
Snarl said you need a pink Brady jersey. That's what you need. So, what did you want to bet now, Paul? So for a roast
Duke
session.
Williams,
If
active
Duke Williams
or
is
not
active,
active.
I believe he's going to be
Yeah.
active. Why would I bet that?
You believe he's going to be
I think
active?
he's going to be active. Yeah.
I'll take these. He's only been active for 3 games of the season. So
Yeah.
I mean, the not active is a pretty sexy thing to take. All right, so maybe not Duke Williams. What about Yeldon?
I think Yeldon will be active.
Oh my God. Okay.
You think he will too?
No.
I'll take the other side of that then. I'll take Frank Gore then. I'll say Gore will be active over Yeldon.
And I'll take Yeldon active over Gore.
And the push is if they're both active.
Okay, I'm down with that.
But Ryan, we had a certain bet long ago, 16 weeks to be exact.
I forgot about this.
We had a bet a long time ago, and Ryan came into town, and I brought him to Anchor Bar Boys. It was right across the border. It was a very close place, so he destroyed some wings there as well, and he had the blue cheese and all the fixins with that. I didn't give him ranch, and believe me, I didn't give him ranch. The bartender almost asked us blue cheese or ranch, and I looked at him, and he backed up. So that's what happened. So I was like, blue cheese, come on, man. So I had the jersey in my car when I picked you up, and I was going to have you wear the Stevie Johnson jersey that I had because that was the bet. Whoever loses week 1, they got to wear the opposite team's jersey. So it's just never manifested. We never got it done, but it was going to be pretty funny. So you should definitely have a double or nothing bet going on for this game, even though
type of bet, even though there's nothing like. Now, why am I betting? Like, I got nothing to do. This team sucks. It's just like I'm putting myself in, like, in the shooting range, like in the firing range.
You got everything to gain here. You're on a 5-2 win streak. Bills say they're not going to be playing all their starters the whole game. You could be this could be an easy one for you, double or nothing. So, I would say that you have to with a friend of yours or whatever. You got to put on a Bills jersey and walk around New York and interview people wearing a Bills jersey. Doesn't have to be long. You just got to ask them questions.
I'm laughing. John in the chat goes, the water bottle that I'm drinking looks like a clear water bottle filled with blue cheese or filled with ranch dressing.
Paul drinks cucumber ranch all the time. It's crazy.
That is not true. That is not true. Don't spread rumors like that. It's not true.
You got nickname ranch because you lost a jersey bet to me. It was pretty funny.
I sure did. You got to
admit, Paul lost a jersey bet. I made him wear a Tom Brady. No, actually, the chat said he has to wear a Tom Brady jersey while eating wings with ranch, which is a sin in Buffalo.
It is. And there's nothing quite like gas station chicken wings when you're at 8 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday with not even regular ranch, cucumber ranch. Oh, well, my kids will use it. Like, oh, thanks, buddy. Thanks a lot.
My kids enjoyed it quite a bit.
Give me some buttermilk. Like, no buttermilk ranch?
No buttermilk ranch. You don't get it. You get cucumber because, you know what? When you want your kids to eat vegetables and they won't, sometimes you got to cross the line a little bit. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about, Paul. But he lost it. But here's the thing. Here's the key to the bet. I never said you had to get out of the car. Like, you stayed in the car protected by a 250-pound meat shield wearing a Brady jersey. So
that was fine with me.
He told me he was going to have me walk around the mall wearing a Brady jersey.
I did.
You did.
It's
insane.
Well, there's a big difference between me wearing a Brady jersey and you wearing a Brady jersey, and it's about 5 inches in height and about another person in weight.
Yeah, you ain't kidding. You ain't kidding, man. I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to wear that jersey. I might start burning and get struck by lightning. But
listen, all right. Evan Anderson saying that if that Fanta is not a reputable drink. Listen, Fanta's been around for a long time. It's typically on sale, and it'll stain your carpets. If you have kids. Like, why wouldn't I have it? It doesn't. Fanta doesn't come in flavors. It just comes in colors. It just tastes like it's the color it is.
Tastes like blue.
It does. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. The purple tastes like purple. Red tastes like red.
Evan Anderson came in. He said Mario might get knocked off the second floor of the Galleria wearing that. Someone might knock me off the mall. We gotta have a bet here. We definitely gotta have a bet somehow.
I want to jump through a table.
You want?
I'm not gonna lie. Like I would put myself through a table. I just don't want to go out and buy a table and like put myself through it. That's
I'm sure
I
you
want to
got one
find an old
sitting in the
table.
garage.
I don't have a garage. I'm living in an apartment, so it's like
Oh,
I'll steal someone else's table and just jump through it.
borrow Gangrene David's.
Yeah. Oh God. I'll pile drive him through it. No, I'm kidding. I
Oh
love
my
you, David. If you're in here.
Oh, got him. All right, so we'll have that. But I mean, in conjunction with that, let's wrap this up. Pick some scores here. We see what the score of the game, and if you're in hashtag Nation or in any of the passengers in the cockpit, throw up your score on the screen, and we'll see. What do you think of the score of this Bills game? We'll start with you, Ryan. What do you think is going to be the score of this game?
I think it'll be another close game. I think Pro Football Focus has it at a 37-point spread. I think that's probably spot on, 20-17. One of the teams winning. I don't think we'll get too much offense once the Bills starters come off the field if they do decide to wind up doing that. So I'll say in the Jets' favor, 20-17 Jets.
Oh yeah, you gotta stay true, man. You gotta stay true.
I have to.
Paul, what do you got, buddy?
I really like Naveed. I like Naveed's score. He said 19-14. Yeah, I'm kind of there. This is just
19?
there's going to be a few touchdowns scored. It's going to be a funky game. I'm not sure and 2 touchdowns aside and just a few field goals.
Mhm.
So I'm thinking 17-10. I'm not seeing a I'm struggling to say this one's going to get very high. I'm going 17-10.
Interesting. You guys give me some interesting things to chew on. I'm gonna go 28-24 Buffalo. I'm gonna go with a high scoring game. I'm gonna say that Matt Barkley starts peppering guys left and right because he's gonna come into the game. I mean, you remember him last year, right? Ryan, you remember Barkley hanging 41 on everybody?
Dude, my Jets team couldn't stop a nosebleed right now as far as our secondary goes. Like, the defense overall has played all right, but it's just I don't know. I can't see the Jets scoring more than like 10 points unless it's by accident. Like we get a long punt return or like someone intercepts a ball. And like, oh man, it's close now. It's like, God, damn it.
Don't do this to me.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I'm going to go with a 28-24 victory by the Bills. And 3 of the touchdowns are caused by Matt Barkley-led drives just to stir the pot up in Buffalo because that's what I love doing. It's going to be so awesome.
I'm here's the thing. We got a question asked in the chat earlier, and I responded. It was if Matt Barkley is playing, does that do for the vertical game, right? I think the Bills actually would be more effective in the vertical game with Matt Barkley at QB just because he reads the coverage breakdowns a little bit faster than Allen.
Oh, great.
But again, that's going off very limited playing time. I think the Bills would be a more effective vertical team with Barkley. Just so he just reads the coverages.
I know he threw for over 100 yards in a quarter, going 9 of 16 against the Patriots, but we're not having a Flutie Johnson situation again. Okay, but it's not happening. No. Barkley is about to have a day, and everyone's going to talk about it. Okay, I'm good with that. That's fine. if they win, I don't care. But there's really, like I said, I mean, the Jets are going to come in. They're going to try to keep the momentum of their last 7 games. They're playing well. They want to carry that into the offseason. If they win, more than likely Gase will have his job for another year. As Ryan said, you're not going to pay 3 head coaches at one time. It just doesn't seem like that's going to be on the table for the Jets going in. And if they lose, it actually helps their draft position a little bit better. Like you said, they're going to be from 8 to 13 is the relative range they're going to be. Like I said, it doesn't help the Jets to win this game. As far as the Bills go, they want to carry on a little bit of momentum going into the playoffs. It's hard. It's tough to lose a game, especially 2 in a row, before you go into the playoffs. I think it would be very difficult for them to do that, especially heading down to Houston, where they had the debacle of Nathan Peterman last year, which I decided I was trying to I'm making a hype video, and I got some Kansas City clips, and I got some Houston clips, just in case, whoever they decide to play the first round. And I decided to watch the highlights of that game from last year, Paul, and I got to tell you, I've never thrown up that hard.
Nightmare fuel.
Oh my god.
Nightmare fuel.
I've not thrown up that hard from not drinking alcohol before. It was bad. It was so horrible. So, yeah, Barkley Week 17 MVP. It could happen. It definitely could happen. I don't know. But, ladies and gentlemen of Hashtag Nation, thank you for joining us for the stream tonight where we had Ryan from Jets Talk 24/7. In the description of the video is his YouTube channel. Be sure to go check him out. He's also on Sportscaster. Become a fan of him on Sportscaster, as well as Twitter. Paul and I will be here tomorrow morning exclusively to Sportscaster, giving you the breakdown of the Bills' keys to victory, what they need to do to be victorious over the Jets. Hopefully not rest everybody. But that being said, from Hashtag Nation, thank you guys for joining us in the chat. We had a great time. For Ryan and Paul, I'm Mario, and we're out of here. Go Bills and go Jets.